All right.
Whenever you're ready, sir.
How many do I got? I got 6.
You didn't go to any other. You didn't give me like any good ones or not. You just got all the tough and bad
tough
and shit.
questions.
All right.
All the tough questions.
Fine. Fuck it. Let's do it.
Oh man, I like that one too.
Well, as you look back through them, maybe with the answers, maybe you find that you don't want to ask it or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe something will change.
I'm sure there'll be more questions based on the answers.
I mean, the majority of that stack's like tough questions.
Yep. I thought that's what this was about.
Oh, this is
Yeah, I thought that's what it was.
tough questions with Scottie G.
Yep. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Fire away.
All right. If you could go on a trip anywhere in the world, where would you pick?
Is that a tough question?
Nope.
Oh.
I had to throw you off the pass.
Oh. If I could go anywhere in the world, where would you pick? That I haven't been before, I've already been.
It doesn't matter because I want to know why after the answer.
Oh, well, my mentor lives in Budapest.
Oh, wow.
And that place is amazing.
Have you been?
Mm-hmm.
What's Budapest like? What are they known for?
Like fried chicken. No, it's like some flat fried patty thing. What are they? I really don't know. It's almost like Russia. It was like, it was Hungary. It's like part of Russia at one point or something like that.
So what makes it so badass?
Well, one of the things that makes it badass is that it's super cheap.
Oh, there you go.
But there's not a great economy for work there. So you'd have to have like American money living over there.
Wow.
But it has really good weather, has really good food, has a full, like if you live in Budapest, there's a full train system. They have a subway system. You can walk to everywhere. You can live out in the country. You can take the train to Vienna. I mean, the train to Vienna is like an hour away. And there's just all this other opportunity that we just don't have here because we just don't do things like that.
Opportunity? What do you mean? Like you got a lot of opportunity.
Like teaching your kids how to use the subway system.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Or just how to use public transportation or how to be in public on public transportation. Just things you don't think about, the exposure of that, you know.
Different way of life completely.
Yeah, because I feel like everybody's gotten on either like one of those like bus trams or like at the airport, like those trains or whatever. And then there's that one person that just doesn't respect the space of everybody else on the train because they probably haven't been on those trains very many times. You know what I mean? Or at least I hope that's the reason. I hope they're not just straight up disrespectful.
You never know. All right, Budapest. Not the guy on the bus station, but what is something that makes you uncomfortable?
People trying to put their bullshit on me. I feel like I'm a very empathetic person. I feel like when I walk in a room, a lot of times I can pick up things. I can feel things a lot more. I can feel things faster than I can hear them and see them. That's what it feels like to me. And say I start having a poor interaction with someone, and I do a lot of work on like being the best version of self and maintaining myself, right? And so they will start to hype up the conversation, starts to get intense on their end, right? And I will try to diffuse it because I don't want to get in an intense conversation. But then it'll escalate to the claims of like, now it's because of me, and the lack of awareness around that. That's the last thing I want to do is be in this situation. You know what I mean? And in those moments, when a person thinks or feels or that they do think it's you, and I genuinely believe that I would in those situations, I'm aware enough of myself that I feel like it really wasn't me. I have to be graceful enough and polite enough and understand and be aware enough of myself to go, are you really doing something? Or is it possible that this person's coming to the table with something else and they're just trying to put that on you? Like when someone like treats you like an asshole out of nowhere, and go, okay, how can I How can I recognize that, not take it on, and maybe politely give it back to them?
How do you politely give it back to them?
If I knew the person well enough, I would say, well, could your feelings be coming from your experiences in this particular situation? Like, as an example, I might tell someone the way I handle the relationship with my girlfriend, and they might say, well, I would never do that, or that's not working, or that's not going to work, or disagree, or say I'm doing it wrong, or whatever. Well, I mean, they're not living my life. They don't know. They don't know how well it feels like it's working to me. Why would you give a shit? But probably for whatever reason, when they chose the kind of things I'm talking about, it didn't work out for them, but maybe their intentions were wrong. And then they take their experiences and put those on me. But that's not my experience. So
whenever you're answering the question, whenever you're answering that question or saying what you're saying, how long do you assess your feelings of it, and whose fault? Like, who's at fault? Is there a fault?
The part of me that used to scrutinize myself and judge myself is also a great aid for me to balance it with okay, I'm going to try to be as aware and as present at all times. And I kind of use that in that way. I don't know if that makes sense, that I kind of I try to be aware of my behavior right now. I don't worry about my past behavior and what I might do. I'm trying to be. So if I'm aware of my behavior right now and I'm truly present with it, and you're saying I'm doing something and I'm like, that's not what I feel like what's happening. I can argue with you about it, but now we're just talking about he said, she said, a perspective, right? So in my mind, I just try not to wear it, and then politely, if there's an opportunity to go, well, maybe the experiences you think I'm having are really your experiences. They're not mine.
Just because I'm curious, and we kind of touched on it in some of the things I was talking about, how does that, are there any similarities between what you do and how you handle that to what you remember your parents doing, and how your recollection of your upbringing?
I think that as parents, we're always doing the best we can. And my hope is really that these things I pull come from the best parts of what my parents were doing. And hopefully I let go of the stuff that maybe I didn't feel like was working and effective, and replace it with things that I felt like were more. And hopefully that's what we're all doing, because, the lazy way out would just be to do exactly what your parents did. You could do that, but like, you don't have any curiosity or exploration around, like, if you could be better, it's not a competition in the sense of like, I'm competing against my parents. It's a competition is like, we're teammates and I want you to succeed as my teammate, as part of the whole solution, Do
you think was there a realization of what your recollections were of your childhood to, man, I want to be better, not competition, just I'm a partner and I'm going to do my job now. Was there a realization somewhere?
I don't know if this is the right answer, but I try not to solve my childhood trauma through my daughter. So things that happen to me in my experiences of life are one thing. I try to be present for whatever she's experiencing. And if it's similar, I can relate to it. But I try to really make sure that it is similar. And most of the time I just kind of keep it to myself and just try to relate to it I experienced that before. Because I don't want her experiences to become my experiences. Because those could be good or bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I mean, it's impossible to remain completely neutral. You know what I mean? So I just try, there's 3 types of experiences we can have. It's positive, negative, and neutral. And ultimately you're shooting for, you want the majority of your experiences to be positive or neutral, because neutral is still a positive outcome because it's not negative.
Yeah.
And then you build on a pattern of positive and neutral experiences with the relationship you're having. And then hopefully it kind of works out the negative out and even gives you ways to respond and solve the negative interactions that you have.
Do you find yourself having, on 1 to 10, broken down relationship or interactions? Are your experiences, what percentage is positive? What percentage is neutral? What percentage is negative?
I feel like I have very few negative experiences, but that doesn't mean people aren't having negative experiences with me.
Really?
Well, because what I view as a negative experience or what I need as a neutral or positive experience might be a negative experience for the other individual that's having with me, but that's not my responsibility. Sucks because that's not my intention.
Yeah.
But there might be a miscommunication there too. And we could explore that, or we could just get mad about it.
The question you asked me was, how do you get yourself back to, reframe, change from the negative when you have them? How do you make the shift?
It's like very similar. Like I practice gratitude around what I have, what I have, the means I do have. Like I had issues with my truck. I was grateful that I had the means to pay for it because I was like, some people can't get their cars fixed. I had the means to, so I was grateful. You know what I mean? So I practiced that gratitude around all the things. And so when bad things happen, I think I immediately try to go, okay, so how do you want to respond? And it's really weird because this just happened just the other day. And I've told this story a billion times, so I won't bore anybody with it. But like over the pandemic, I was one of those kids that would turn off video games if I was losing. Okay. And I carried that into my adulthood, so much so that like if I was playing like a game of Madden and I didn't score well enough or throw enough touchdowns or whatever, I would like turn it off and start over until I had like the perfect game. Do you know how painstaking that is? And do you know how long it takes to play even like one season of football when you're doing things like that? So I decided over the pandemic, I go, give a fuck what happens. You don't turn it off. You don't, unless like the electricity goes off in a storm or it doesn't save correctly or, some error out of my control. But you throw fucking 6 interceptions and you just roll with it. And it was a real growing experience for me to have to sit with that. But you know what it did? The other day, the new college football game had come out. And I think on the first drive, I had a fumble. And it was like on my fucking 5. And they went in and scored, so they're up 7-0. And then I think the next drive, I threw a pick. And it was a pick 6. And I was like, fuck. I was like, this game is over. That was my very first initial thought. And in the next moment, I was like, it is not over. I go, you have played many a game where you have come back. You have played many a game where you made the game-winning drive. It's the first quarter. If you score here, you can stop them once. You get the ball at the half. Like that's my process that I went through. And I was like, you can win this fucking game. So instead of turning it off, that's the mindset that I had. And that sounds so dumb, like inside of a game, but that translates over to everything. That's the exact same mindset. So when I throw a real life pick 6, something really kind of like, and you're like, fuck. And that's the second thing that's happened this week, flat tire, broken coffee thing. I go, okay, but there's still time today to score. What can I do? I can order it on Amazon. I can go get my tire fixed. Okay, now I'm back in the game. That's my mindset.
I was hoping you weren't going to keep it at a video game. I was really pulling for you. I like that. You see the relation, because I think how we do anything is how we do everything. So seeing
it makes me feel good.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get fired up by what life throws at me. I'm kind of like, what do you think? I'm just going to lie over and just let this happen, life?
Yeah.
And I go, how can I, in being put 5 yards back, how can I score? You know what I mean? Like, and it really becomes how I treat everything. You know what I mean?
So have you turned off the game in life before you made the connection, before the realization?
I
Before
I think I was doing it constantly.
Really?
Well, like, okay, so when you said like the restaurant failed and you stayed in your room for a month, you turned off the game.
Yeah.
That's what you did. And so, but there is no, there really is no turning off, that no one's winning and turning off the game.
Yeah.
And ultimately, what happens? Either you turn off the game forever and you just never go back to working or being part of society, or eventually you have to turn the game back on. But then what are you going to do how are you going to respond to the next time you want to turn the game off?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I like that. Good.
I got that all from Coach Phil Blankens.
I don't know what that is. All right. I got the tough ones now. What is a dream you have let go of?
If you want a more serious one, I can try to. Like, I'm not going to be a rapper. I'm not there. I mean, I can rap other people's songs, and I'm good at rapping other people's songs. But the idea of having a beat and finding words that fit to that beat, like solo on my own without someone giving it to me first, is just like it. Just I try it all the time. I work at it all the time. I just can't.
Really?
I don't know how people do it. And my girlfriend's a musician. I'll kind of talk to her about it, and she's real good at it. Like kind of coming up. And I'm just like, so like I've given up. Not that it was ever like
I can't let it go without at least asking. Mm-hmm. Can you rap something for me? I don't know if I've ever heard you rap.
No, I would have to think of a song. I can't even think of a song right now.
Oh man.
No, but it's more of like it's a fun thing for me. That's how much I love music, probably. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Not on the questions, but kind of along that similar thread, that an idea popped into my head. You like music a lot. You could give your girlfriend a run for her money with fashion. Where did that come from? Because we're not born with a bunch of tattoos. We're not born with a beanie on our head. Like, where'd that come from for you?
You know what I think is, I remember being a younger kid and I would collect all these clothes and all these things that I wanted to wear, but I wouldn't wear them for two reasons. I wouldn't wear them because I didn't want to ruin them, which was part of that whole idea of like, eat all your food and like, you don't fuck up your shit because it's about, But then I didn't want people to be like, what the fuck are you doing? You know what I mean? Or what are you wearing? Especially because I grew up in such a small town.
Yeah.
And so, I think that as my confidence, my authentic self grew, and as my confidence grew and who I grew as a person, it grew along with me until we got here to where it's like, like I just wear whatever I want to wear.
I like it. I like that. I like it. Do you remember your dreams? Do you believe in the dreams having meanings? Is there a dream you've had or a nightmare that you've had? What do you think it meant?
When I was like younger, like junior high or whatever, I would have this recurring dream that someone would kidnap my brother. And I don't know what it means, but I think ultimately probably what it meant for me is that like, I desperately wanted us to have like a really close relationship. I didn't want anything to happen to him. And he's more of a person, like, he's like, I'm good on my own. You know what I mean? And I had to come to terms with the fact that like, he's kind of independent in that way. You know what I mean? And that we might not have that super close brotherly bond, even though we have a close bond now, if that makes sense,
Yeah. All right. Again, back to parents. I don't know why we're talking about parents. Who's like whom in your family between your siblings and your parents, or your sibling and your parents?
It's weird. When we were kids, I feel like it was like I was like my mom and my brother was like my dad. And I feel like that maybe that shifted some, at least for me. I become more like my dad, but I'm still like a lot of my mom. My dad ain't dressing like this.
I don't believe that for a second.
Yeah.
All right. How do you express your anger?
I try to say, I try to say it how I would want to hear it in the most direct but kindest way possible. So, and I wait for the right opportunity to say what I need to say. And it might take a month. But during that month, I also do a lot of processing around this thing that's now made me angry. And sometimes I find that like, it's like, it wasn't that big a deal. You know, you see 3 or 4 days, I'm like, I didn't even think about it today. Maybe that wasn't that. Maybe that was just, you know, but if it becomes a pattern now, like when it comes up next, then I probably need to be aware of that and then make an opportunity to maybe discuss it, because now it's like 2 or 3 times this thing that's making me upset. But I try to come to it from a place of, if someone was angry with me, how would I want them to approach me?
What are the things would you say that make you angry?
I think the thing that makes me angry the most, because I feel like it leads to a lot of other things, is people not being responsible for themselves. And even to a point of just being more worried about being their responsibility or someone else, how responsible someone else needs to be. And we're ultimately responsible for yourself. If you take responsibility for yourself, then you have the ability to be responsible for others. Without taking responsibility for yourself, like how much are you going to be able to carry? How much are you going to be able to help somebody else? You can't even help your fit self. You know what I mean? And so when others are not being responsible for themselves, it makes me angry, because there's probably somebody else involved. Maybe it's not me. Maybe it's somebody else they're having that interaction with. But that's not that person's fault. You know, and they shouldn't be doing that to that person. That's not their responsibility. And then that person, so because I really don't, I mean, I don't get angry. I don't feel like I mean, stuff bothers me, but like when I think of anger, I think of, well, you know what? That's just a physical, anger. I think of aggression and physical, anger and yelling and things like that. Like I get angry about stuff, but like it's so fleeting. And the stuff I really get angry about only lasts for maybe a little bit. And then I'm pretty much have let it go, because I understand that there's going to be something new to get angry about. And if I don't like clear the table for the new angry that's coming, it's going to be, now I got 2 angries on the fucking table. And then there's 5 angries on the table. And you know what I mean? So like if I'm not moving it through, then like I'm not ready for the next thing, because there's going to be another thing.
Why do you think that is?
Because that's just life. It's just another tap.
Why are you getting tapped, do you think?
Because it's like, are you awake? Like, are you here? Are you present? Do you see what's going, like they're all taps for awareness to become present. It's just, because maybe I don't have a lot of taps, and I don't get angry very often because I stay pretty present and aware. So I'm pretty aware of when things are happening, and I'm like, oh, this is probably going to fold out like this. I hope not. But like, and so I'm ready. Like I'm ready for all like scenarios. You know what I mean?
Is it awareness? You kind of started with, other people's responsibility or lack thereof. Why are you angry with other people's not being responsible?
Because ultimately someone else is suffering because you're not being responsible for your shit. And that makes me very upset, because that person doesn't deserve that. You know what I mean? And maybe that's because that's also my personal experience. Like I don't like being responsible for other people's shit. So that's probably why when I see it done to somebody else, or if it's being done to me, you know what I mean? Especially when parents do it to kids. Oh, it's the worst.
I got you. Yeah.
All right, give me one more, because I think my daughter's going to try to break in there. You don't have to did you not have another one?
No, that was it.
Oh, just then grab one off. Grab that reflection one. What's the first one on the deck?
That's a great one.
I knew it.
How have you grown in the past 5 years?
I don't even, everywhere, everything. It's my life is incredibly different. I've grown into more awareness, to be more present, before my divorce, I don't know how great of a dad I would have been. I think I would have been an okay dad, but I don't think I would be prepared in the way I am and be as involved as I am and present as I am and enjoying even the stuff that really sucks as much as I am without that, So I went to in the last 5 years, I went to every little space of my life and I go like, well, how can I make this space better? Like, how can I invest in me so that I can be good for my daughter and my girlfriend?
For me, it was a restaurant. What was it for you?
My divorce.
Divorce?
Yeah.
How long did it take for you to realize, again, my reflecting, how long until you saw the sun and you realized life was still, you had to turn the game back on? Or did you ever turn it off?
I think immediately it felt incredibly different than any other tragedy or any other bad thing I'd gone through in my life. It immediately felt incredibly harder. Like I really got, you've been punched. You really got fucking punched. And I was stunned. I mean, I knew I was not necessarily a strong mental. I knew I was fragile, but I didn't know. I was like, wow, like I'm that fragile. And it's almost like maybe like a mini breakdown or like a mini just like mind shift. And at some point I came to the realization, I was like, I can do whatever I want. It doesn't even matter. I can do whatever I want. Not murder people, things like that, but I can, as long as it doesn't hurt me or anybody else, I can just do whatever. It's not going to matter. Because it could change tomorrow. Everything could change tomorrow. You don't know. So just do whatever you want to today that doesn't hurt you or anybody else. And then once that started to build momentum, what was the second part? When was the first time
Well, how long did it take you to realize it was still sun shining? You didn't have to turn off the game, or you could turn that game back on.
I think, it was like this. It was like the divorce was an opportunity for me to turn the game off. But I didn't. I kept playing, but I wasn't really there. But I was just like, I just don't turn the game. That was my only thing. Just don't turn the game off. Right. And then when I made it through, we'll say that quarter or that half or whatever it was, I was like, okay, all right, we made it this far. Can you just make it another quarter? And then a good thing would happen inside of that. I would throw a touchdown or something. I'm making up the scenario.
Yeah.
And so then I would go, okay. And then I'd come out of that game and maybe I even won it. And maybe, the quarterback had a decent, maybe he threw 2 picks, but maybe he threw 4 touchdowns. And maybe he threw for like 400 yards. I was like, that's a pretty good game. And I started to change my perspective about how I saw everything. And then it was like, just bled over everything. And then now we're here.
I like it. That's some massive growth. I love it, man.
Hey, well, thank you for coming back.
Absolutely.
Hey, I appreciate you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.